Thus the heavens and the earth and the host of them were finished. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all of his work which he had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made. This is the history of the heavens and the earth, and when they were created, in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. Before any plant of the field was in the earth, and before any herb of the field had grown, for the Lord God had not caused it to rain on the earth, and there was no man to till the ground, but a mist went up from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. That's interesting. I'm not a theologian, but basically he's saying man was formed from nothing. There was nothing there, dust on the ground. So then all of a sudden he breathed into the nostrils and there was breath of life, and man became a living being. To me, it's an early understanding of childbirth, essentially, that there was nothing. They didn't understand. Then from just a regular belly, then all of a sudden she's giving birth, and then they blow into the nostril and suddenly there's life. I think that's trying to describe that in a historical way. They're trying to help people understand. I think that's what's going on. If you have a different opinion, just let me know. My opinion it's just an opinion as I'm reading this for the first time. Life in God's garden. The Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground the Lord God made every tree grow that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The tree of life was also in the midst of that garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it parted and became 4 riverheads. The name of the first is Pishon. I don't know, Pishon. It is the one which skirts the whole land of Havilah, and there is gold. And the gold of that land is good. Bdellium and the onyx stone are there. The name of the second river is Gihon, and it is the one which goes around the whole land of Cush. The name of the third river is Hiddekel. It is the one which goes towards the east of Assyria. The fourth river is Euphrates. Then the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to tend and keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. And the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him. So this is almost saying, like, it is not, this is sort of where the control of this book to me lives. It is not okay for you to have knowledge, is what I just read. Let's park that, because I know that that's going to ruffle some feathers, but that's what it says. You can eat anything. You can eat off of every tree in the garden, you may freely eat, but the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. And this book was traditionally used by people who had power. So it's just an observation. Again, somebody who has never read this before. I'm reading it from today's context and understanding. And the Lord God said, "It is not good that man should be alone. I'll make God a helper, comparable to him." Out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every bird of the air, and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatever Adam called each living creature, that was its name. So Adam gave names to all the cattle, to the birds of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helper comparable to him. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall on Adam, and as he slept, and he took one of his ribs, closed up the flesh in its place. Then the rib, which the Lord God had taken from the man, he made into a woman, and he brought her to the man. And Adam said, "This is now bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother, and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed." Accentuated with the door being closed. It's just interesting to me because we've made woman out of rib, out of dust, but somehow he has parents. So what's the metaphor? What's the metaphor? Perhaps once you take a wife, I think that's where what makes the most sense is once you take a wife, this is now bone of my bones. Her bones are equivalent to your bones. Her flesh is the equivalent of your flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. But I think that's the idea is, I think it's a respect thing, that if you take a wife and a husband, I mean, at this time it wasn't necessarily back and forth, but this idea of bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh, you are mine and I am yours, and we are the same, we are one. I think that's, that idea of to become one, which I've heard that comes around later, but I think that's what they're saying here. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. There it is. Man leaves his mother and father, but Adam didn't have mother and father, so it's weird. So I just have to take it there. And they shall become one flesh. And I believe that's a child, the one flesh, right? They shall become one flesh, two becoming one flesh. That's the indication that when two become one, that means from her and him makes one, that's a child. And they were both naked, and the man and his wife were not ashamed.